Have you ever read something that influenced you? Yes. The person who wrote it might be sleeping. They're doing something different than sitting with you while you're reading that. And so passive difference making, in my mind, is at the essence of thought leadership. And that is to create knowledge that can help others and scales out and touches people's lives in meaningful ways. And so at the heart of our doctoral program, we focus on transforming organizations, revitalizing communities, and developing human potential. We focus on how to do that based on the principles of the social and behavioral sciences and human relations. We focus on doing that in ways that we can be of service to creating a better world that works for all of us. And in that, our students are called to do something important, as there's a special, unique kind of person that's called to that. And I would offer to you that everybody in this room here today is called to do something that matters in the world. There's something about this topic and this. So this is a great place of like-minded people with similar cares and concerns and aspirations for our world and so forth. So I'm really glad that we can do this as a part of our doctoral program, that we have our master's in organization development students here. We have some here today. We have graduates of our master's program here. We have doctoral students. We have some of our graduates here and some are speaking. And I'm just really blessed and honored to have all of you here. So thank you for making the time to be a part of this and to join me in what I'm passionate about, which is creating a better world that works for all of us. So I feel like I've been able to kind of be selfish and create something that allows me to hang out with some really good people like you. So thank you for that. And Sandra, I'm so glad to, I just gotten to know Sandra. She's a doctoral student in our program. And when we talked the first time, I was like, oh, Sandra, you've got to be in this program. This is meant for you. And Sandra's gave it a thought, gave it a serious consideration because you were a busy professional traveling all over the world. You came 17, 20 hours just to get here for this residency this weekend from Africa, right? So you're working and doing really important work. And for you to select this program at BGSU to be part of this, I'm honored. Yeah, so would you please introduce Dr. O'Brien, and we'll have fun with Dr. O'Brien, who awesome work that you're doing. So I'm really glad to be part of this. Thank you.
Very much. I am the honored one. My name is Sandra Twinamisha, and I am a clinical psychologist. I work with a global humanitarian organization, and we support persons of concern moving from conflict areas in search for shelter or a safe place. This program is very special, and I'll tell you why. I became a psychologist because I was very concerned. I mean, growing up in Uganda and Africa, there's lots of poverty, and there's, we don't have resources or even the exposure to move in many cases from one place to another. Our education systems are broken down, and there's lots of effort to try and do good, but we have so many challenges. And I felt that I could make an impact by supporting individuals or children, but individuals specifically to cope with what is adversity, but also to thrive in defining what it is that they want, what the challenges are, and really reaching out because it's possible. There are very many success stories, and I wanted to be part of that story. And so I did my undergraduate in psychology and my master's in psychology, industrial organizational psychology, and my master's degree in clinical psychology. I started my work out with working in communities. So my first internship was with this organization that supported street children. So they'll bring them in and they'll clean them out, and then they'll try and really work on their psychology to help them thrive. And I really loved that. After that, I moved to hospital settings and mental health institutes, and it just didn't work for me because there's so much suffering and absolutely no money to get to the next level. So I was like, I want to be where the money is so that, I can work with those people and have kind of like a snowball effect. So if you work with one person out there, they can I mean, if you work with employees or, within settings where, there are some resources to drive specific interests, mental health, then, one person will learn and then teach another person and then hoping that it will trickle down into the communities. And that's why I do what I do. But today, I'm very, very pleased to introduce Dr. O'Brien because he speaks about suffering and challenges. Have you ever wondered whether it's possible to be happy while experiencing a challenge? I mean, we all experience challenges, but being happy in it is one thing. So I would like to say, join me in welcoming Dr. O'Brien as he takes us through maneuvering through challenges, through mindfulness. I'm more than secretary. I think everything else that I may not have said, but we're excited to have him, his faculty, and we're going to have fun. So, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for bringing up, I think before we start, there's a million things, but one of the nice things that you mentioned that everyone, how many people here are, in fact, you mentioned, have a goal to make the world a better place or to alleviate suffering in some way. I mean, raise our hand. Look at that. Okay, I got to tell you something about you. It just reminded me of something. I work in a hospital in Green Springs, Ohio, at times, and I see patients there. And there's a Catholic nun there named Sister Sam, Sister Anthony Marie. One of the things that she told me once I thought was super cool, and it just reminded me of you guys. She said, "I love the psychology students," and I was like, "Oh, really? Like, what is it about in your life?" And she's Catholic, she's very religious. And she said, "Well, in my way of thinking of things, every child born, God asks the child, will you help alleviate suffering? Will you be a helper?" And she says, only a few babies say yes. Only a few souls say yes. And so the psychology kids are the yes babies. And when you talked about this and I saw all your hands come up, it reminded me, you're yes babies too. You have one life on earth, and somehow or other, you've made a determination that the single life, the most precious thing you have, you're going to dedicate to the alleviation of suffering and making the world a better place. Isn't that awesome? I mean, think about the room that we're in here, and think about the people in this room, filled with yes babies, and what an honorable, noble thing that you've decided to do. So I feel very, very honored to be able to talk to you today and try to help you make a little bit more of a difference in the work that you do, and that'll be my goal for today. So thank you for coming, and thank you for giving me a chance. Oh, good. And thanks for coffee, because I love coffee. I'm so addicted to coffee. Okay, so this is me, and I'll kind of walk you through. I'm gonna go in the middle here, I guess, right? And then I'm gonna try to determine how to make this thing work. Skill set on William O'Brien, not so great.
Might not have anything to do with you.
Oh, it doesn't have anything to do. I was quick to judge myself.
Could you try now?
Going the wrong way. So here's the goals. The goals today are going to be, number one, have a life-changing experience. I believe that by the end of today, you will have a life-changing experience. You will think about things in a way that you haven't thought of before, and it'll stick with you for the rest of your life. I know you're skeptical right now, but I believe it's going to happen. I'm going to try to make that happen. Second thing is to have things be fun. And then third, we'll do a lot of experiential work, kind of talking to you about mindfulness and talking to you about acceptance and commitment therapy is interesting, but it's way more interesting if you actually experience some of the things that we do that allow you to gain insight into how we do therapy, focused on different kinds of suffering we have in the world. And then, because I'm a professor, I got to do like the 3 waves of behavior, how we got to this point. And people think there's like 3 waves of behavior therapy, so I'll kind of walk you through those quickly. And then we'll kind of look at global perspective, which is why we're here, the combination of looking at Eastern and Western. So I have a lot of things to cover. I'll probably get through half my slides, but you will have a life-changing experience, I believe. And so at the end of this, I'll ask you, well, maybe I won't ask you, I'll just assume. So the first thing we'll do is gratitude. I'm gonna have you do some gratitude and then me, I'll do my gratitude and then your gratitude, okay? So, oops, so gratitude, you know, my work and then my ability to be here is a function of Bowling Green. Thank you very much for Bowling Green coming here. And we're working in collaboration with Chulalongkorn University, Chiang Mai University in Thailand. We've been doing a lot of collaboration with them over the past few years. And then also Duke Kunshan University, which is in Shanghai, China. And it's like allowed us to really gain some insights into Eastern and Western perspectives in psychotherapy and to develop new methodologies that we think are helpful in America and also in education. And I just took pictures of people, brought pictures. These are my colleagues in Thailand. Thailand is a beautiful country. If you ever want to go, I recommend going. It's a very spiritual kind of country. It's a place where you can really be mindful and kind of gain an insight into a different way of living relative to America. These are the students who, of course, inspire us. I think the students are our best resource in many ways. They teach me how to be a better professor every day. There's more of these are Chiang Mai, Chulalongkorn students. And then our teachers. We have many teachers in life. And I think most of the teachers in life, in my experience, come from everyday people that I meet, or the patients that I work with are my best teachers. So I just put a couple up there. There's a monk up in Sitoi. So it's a temple in Thailand up on the top of the mountain that I would go meet with this Buddhist monk up here. He was so good. He would just give me insight and ideas to think about every day when I would come to visit him, and I just really feel like this will change my life. And these are my children. That's when they're little. Now they're all grown up. But every time I see them, even though they're in their 20s, they still look like this to me. They're just little kids. I just can't believe they're grown up. But I'm very grateful to them because, you know, children just allow you to have a sense of meaning and purpose in life that was not available to me before children. And they're also brutally honest with me all the time. I'll give you a good example why I think they're so good for my one son, the middle one. I play hockey and I like to play hockey. And he came up to me about, this was about a month ago. He said, Dad, you know, I was watching you play hockey and you've really improved. I'm like, oh. He said, you've gone from being a clear liability to whatever team you're on to mostly neutral. Okay, all right. Go to ask that. Mostly neutral. So the kids are good for that. They really kind of give you the accurate feedback that you need. And then, of course, we get funding from Fulbright and from Ohio University to support a lot of the research I went and a couple more things. Thank you to coffee makers around the world. I love coffee, I love cappuccino, and when they make a fancy one, I just feel like I'm a special human being. And I'm going to skip to these are just more pictures of China. Oh, thanks to COVID, I discovered Thailand is a function of COVID. I was originally in China doing work for Fulbright. We were at Duke Kunshan University, which is affiliated with Wuhan University, and you know the COVID happened. So everything got shut down. We had to stop everything that we were doing in China. But in some ways, that dark time in China led me to Thailand. And so I was very depressed. Oh, my Fulbright, everything I planned for like 5 years of down the tubes. And so I went to Thailand just for a period of time during Fulbright. It was the only place I could go. And all I remember was the first day I got a piece of toast like that. I'm like, And then the hotel that I was in kind of compassed with direction, but I'm not like, I don't know, I'm trying to be more open, less scientific and more open to ideas. I was like, what's this mean, right? And that became the foundation for work in Thailand. So happy created an opportunity for me to pursue an alternative path in Thailand doing the work that I wanted to do in China. And this was my first day. I feel like really created something that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So bad and good. Anyhow, so to contextualize this, I'm here as a function of a lot of unique circumstances. You're here because of a lot of unique circumstances. And the idea that this will ever happen again is impossible. We are making history right now. This will never happen again. So we have a unique opportunity to do something like this. So before I get to that, I'll do a mindfulness exercise, and a gratitude exercise, and just to kind of get us going. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do, and I'll do it with you, is to kind of get in a comfortable position, be on the floor, and this will be like a 5-minute mindfulness exercise that will help kind of get us cool. Get your feet on the floor, get your hands in a comfortable place on the desk, and lap, or wherever you like to sit. I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, it's fine, you don't have to. But what I would do is just close your eyes and just for a few minutes, we're gonna sort of focus on your breathing. So just inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Inhale deeply. And then exhale slowly. Just allow yourself to just breathe. You're in a safe place. No one will disturb you. No reason to rush through this. Just allow yourself to settle. Just notice the feeling of breathing. Inhale, you may notice a cool sensation. Exhale, maybe a warm sensation, whatever you notice. Just allow yourself to breathe. Become aware of that sensation. Now, become more aware of your body. You may notice the feeling of your feet on the floor, the weight. Perhaps you can notice where your toes are touching your skin. Feeling of your back against the chair. Aware of all the different sensations that you have coming in your body while you breathe. That awareness that you have of your body, I want you to go a little bit further now. Become aware of the room that you're in. Sounds. You might feel a slight movement of air. Become aware of the presence of other humans in the around you. The yesterday's of your life. So imagine your awareness going beyond your body. You need to fill the room as if your awareness could fill every corner of the room. Notice the sound, sense the people around you, feel the air. I'm just breathing. I'll be quiet. To think of a person in your life that's always been there for you. Parent, partner, child. But I'd like for you to imagine, think about that one or even two people that you know have always been in your corner, that have always been there to support you, that have been rooting for you throughout your life for a long time. want you to imagine where they might be right now. Either eating, reading a paper, working on a computer, wherever they might be, but I would like you to imagine that person or those two persons, where they are right now, what they're doing. And these are the people that have always been there. I want you to imagine their faces. Imagine them looking at you smiling. And as you imagine their faces smiling, looking eye to eye with you, I would like you to, in your mind right now, say thank you. Tell them from your heart how thankful you are that they did nothing. That they created ways in which you can live your life as a great industry. Look them in the eyes. And with their eyes, and with your smile, and with your kindness. Say thank you. Back into the middle. Eyes. That's a real nice meditation. Nice to know that you've got people that are there for you, right? They've always been there. And they love you deeply. And so, you know, in some ways we forget about these things, and like forget that we're loved. Forget that. People that are there for us. So it's nice time to say thank you to them. And give warm, feels connected. So that's a gratitude. And trying to I'm grateful for the things that have been given to us. Thank you for doing that. That's a gratitude exercise. And see that you were touched by this experience. So as we go on, this is good, it calms us down, doesn't it? Isn't that nice? So before I go into act, into mindfulness, I do want to just talk about two things that are framing the talk today, and one is weird. One of the things that become really important in clinical psychology, or all psychology, but clinical psychology in particular, is this idea of weird. Way back in 2010, there was awareness that much of the research that we're doing in psychology has been conducted on Western people. And weird stands for white, educated, industrial, rich, democratic countries. And then people didn't really pay attention to it enough until they realized that up to 90% of the data in psychological journals are based on Western people, predominantly white. And then there's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that the researchers were not paying attention to what extent can we believe that the findings that we're having with this subset of people on the planet are consistent with the ways in which people from other countries and other parts of the world experience psychology. So I think we all, you know, many people were kind of arrogant about it, like, oh yeah, we're fine. Turns out we're not fine. So Western people are about 1.5 billion, 1.5 billion people on the planet, in that neighborhood. And that means there's another 7 billion or so not Western people who have not been studied by psychology. And this is a big problem. And it's a problem, but it's an opportunity. It's a problem in the sense that we don't know, but it's an opportunity in that we can learn. We can find things out about human psychology that's not in current journals and textbooks in America. So we're on a paradigm shift in psychology right now, the next 20, 30 years. Cannot do this anymore. Cannot continue to just study Americans and Western people. There's a growing recognition that we need to learn and have more reciprocal interactions with people from around the world, Africa, and so on. So I'll give you a little bit more on this, just a little background. I'll go here. So why is that a problem? There's a world map, and just to make it easy for you, the darker colors mean we know stuff about mental health in those countries. And the light colors mean we don't know. And if it's white, that means we don't have data at all. And so what you can see here is that when we're looking at Asia, Africa, a lot of Asian countries, there's not even enough data collected on psychology to even know what the prevalence of mental health problems are. To know how many depressed people, what the causes of nothing, barely any. And so this is a problem again that we're recognizing in psychology that we want to contribute to, we want to make the world a better place by understanding and conducting research in places outside of America. This is a very big deal. So I just want to kind of give you that framework for the kind of reasons why we're really fired up about doing global research. The other thing is we're recognizing that, the weird article back here says that, well, it's not just that Americans are different and we're kind of weird, literally weird, meaning we're different from the rest of the world. And it's interesting. There's certain things like, for example, if you're not raised in an industrial country, the perception of lines is different. If you're raised in the forest or in a non-industrial environment, there's not a lot of lines. But here we see right angles really well. Humans, Americans see right angles. We like things to be right angles. We like our desks to be at right angles. It's like interesting, right? But it's weird. A lot of people don't have that. They're like, why are you so preoccupied with angles and right angles? What's that all about? We really like Westerners, just give you we like to put things in boxes. We like to make classifications. We're really good at it. So we like to create the DSM, which says like, you're depressed, you're not depressed, you're this, you're that. And it's kind of fun. And we do it and we think it's important. We develop personality inventories, you're a narcissist, you're this, you're that. But it's really cool when you go to, I'm not sure about Africa, but when I'm in Asia, they're like, why do you guys do that? Why do you put everybody in boxes like that? Because we like to. They're like, well, why? Like, what's the point? Like, why do you want to put people in boxes? It's like, that's so weird. And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah. Another just quick example in Thailand versus America. I talked to the Thai professors a lot. And I said, you guys are like really have a problem, like science and religion have to be separated. Why you're so preoccupied with that? Like, what's that? Why can't you just like chill? Well, it's just the way we roll. And they're like, why don't you just like be relaxed about that? So it's just kind of fun that when you're exposed to other cultures, it makes us think about American culture and how we're different maybe from other cultures. Not that we're bad, we're just different. But we're not universal. So the data generated on us is not universal. I'll give you a quick example of this. I love this photo. So this is like kind of a picture of, hey, it could be Bowling Green. And then this is Vietnam actually. But you can really see a difference in what's individualism versus collectivism, right? Individual, in America, you have your farm and you got everything you need on your farm. You got your own tractor, you got your own cars, you got your little fortress, and you live in your little space, and you're separate from other people, and that's like good living. That's good living. In non-Western countries are like, no, we go out to the field, do our farming, and then we come home to a community where we're with others. And we like to be with others, and it feels good to be with others, and it's nice to be sharing. And so you can see that this is just a good illustration of that. And the implications of this, for example, in therapy are, in Western psychotherapy, what do we value? Like, you need to be independent, find your own path in life, be self-determined, be autonomous, not rely on other people in order to be healthy. That is not healthy in non-Western countries. That's sort of weird. Like, why do you want to be all preoccupied with being autonomous and independent and self-determined and isolated person? That's kind of weird. So again, these are just little ideas for you to kind of kick around in your head, that there are differences across culture, and these are things that we're really looking at. So, and it's an advancement in psychotherapy. There's ways of dealing with suffering that are connected to these other ideas. So we'll have a little fun. So here's something to try. I'm going to have you say three things to yourself, okay? So you can either close your eyes, you don't even have to close your eyes, but I just want you to repeat these three things to yourself out loud. And I just kind of want you to sort of react to these things. So I want you to say to yourself, you know, and like, close your eyes, like, I am whole. I am complete. I'm absolutely 100% perfect. So just say, so I'm whole, I'm complete, I'm 100%. I'm whole. Complete, 100%. One more time, whole, complete, 100%. Oh, very nice. Now, so I promise you guys I'm going to pick on you because you're up front. However, when I said perfect, you went. So, I guess that's, so tell me what happened. Like, what's the trouble there? You seem to react to this idea of being 100%.
Being 100, thinking about myself 100% perfect seems to hinder me from taking action to improve myself.
Ah, so you need to be improved.
I need to be improving on a daily basis. It's my goal. I need to see myself like getting, learning things from people around me. So this, when I said so, it doesn't feel to me like I couldn't, you know, imagine 100%. But if I do imagine, for example, sitting and imagine myself 100% perfect, it's negatively affects.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you. You were kind of laughing about being perfect. Tell me what was going on.
I got as far as I'm an eagle, and I just jumped.
Yeah. So, how did you feel about being perfect? I didn't do it, but like, we'll come back to that in a minute. But, like, you have trouble with it?
I feel like supposed to be mindful, but I have to be mindless. I didn't really think about this.
So did it-
The rhythm or something.
Yeah, sure. How about you? You feeling you didn't fall in perfect being perfect?
I think it's possible.
It's possible. Right. How about for you?
It's possible for me.
But
Um, no, I don't know. Is it true? Yeah, it's true. I think that I think I applied. That
if you don't mind me asking. It's like-
I have no sense of.
So, yes,
Buddy, Catholic guilt,
pardon?
Catholic guilt,
Captain, what's going on there?
you know, you're flawed, you're right from the beginning,
Yeah.
you know,
So what's wrong? Like, what's the Catholic guilt playing involved?
you're always sinning, you know, you're sinners, like you're trying to redeem yourself.
You need yourself to like right with the flaws of the badness.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you?
I will reiterate that, because
So what's
I
wrong?
was raised, you know, there's only one person.
There's only one, right? And what's wrong with it?
Where do you start? Many, many,
Any,
many.
on this.
Yes, there is a huge list.
Any of this. Interesting, like, let's continue. So you're not funny. You know, it seems to be right. You've got a list of things that are wrong. You've got a list of things that are wrong with you. You are working on trying to fix yourself up like an old car that needs to be tuned up every day. And you're not an old car, but need to be fixed up. How about you? Yeah. You perfect?
No. I think like everyone else in my head as my version critic of myself.
You're a pure
I
critic of yourself.
I could literally make up something new every day.
You make up stuff that's wrong with you every day. And you're-
Probably.
Yeah. And, so, okay, so How long have you been aware or have been telling yourself that you don't have good sense of humor? How long has that been?
No, that was a joke. It's a month old.
You've had problems or flaws, but how long have you had to deal with that?
Or is the one,
As long as I can remember, how long have you felt that you had deficiency?
Probably since school started.
Yeah.
I don't remember before that.
Yeah, so I won't pursue this with you a lot, but if we spend a lot of time together, not a lot of time, like maybe. I don't, yeah, we would get to this point. As you say, you're your own worst critic. And when we sit with people, sometimes in therapy and in workshops like this, you know, what begins to come out is like, I'm flawed, I'm broken, I got things that are wrong. And the things that we say to ourselves are really mean. We say very mean things to ourselves. I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm uninteresting, I'm unlovable, I'm whatever. And you know this, you know in your heart that you are rehearsing and telling yourself all the ways that you're screwing up all the time. This is interesting, right? What's interesting about this is when I ask a group of yes babies like this, what comes out? If you really spend time with this, I'm not smart enough, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm bad, and this and that, I'm not evil, I'm bad. It comes out, right? If I do this with patients, mental health patients, guess what? Same. They call themselves sick, you call yourselves sick. Same issues, same exact issues. If I do it with mental health, you're like psychologists, same. This is interesting, right? And if everyone has these struggles, and most people say, how long have you had these? And I'll say like, long time, maybe my whole life. It's interesting. And then they say, and I say, well, do you like it? Do you like having these negative thoughts about yourself? Do you enjoy them? I'm like, no, I don't like them at all. In fact, I try to get rid of them. I go see a therapist, I read self-help books, I go on TikTok, whatever. And they're like, oh, so you've been trying to get rid of these bad thoughts, or you've been trying to modify or eliminate these bad thoughts about yourself. And how's that working for you? Now, interesting. So think about this for a minute. I have bad thoughts about myself. I think about myself as inadequate in some ways. I don't spend my whole life. I don't like it. I've been trying to get rid of it, and I am unsuccessful. That's important, right? It's important. So like, it's not going away. You've been working at it and motivated, you're trying to make something go away for 30 years, 40 years, and you're unsuccessful. Reasonable conclusion to be drawn is this is not going away. But yeah, humans are weird. What people typically think is, maybe I just need to try harder. No. You need to give up on the whole idea of changing. That comes from Eastern psychology. But I'll tell you what, like, so you can think about this. To me, it sounds like this. Dude, I have a big walk in my lawn, and every day, or no, I would like to fly. I really think it'd be cool to fly. So every day I go like this. For the last 30 years, I've been going like this. I'm never able to get off the ground and get home and fly. I know, I can't, humans can't fly. When a person comes to me and says, like, I have low self-esteem, I think I'm not good enough, I think I'm inadequate, I feel like I'm not whatever. And I've been feeling this way for 30, 40 years, and I can't get rid of it. Can you help me get rid of it? I'm like, dude, you can't fly. You cannot. This is interesting, right? This is a different way of thinking about psychology. CBT and a lot of therapists say, we will help you. We will help get rid of your bad thoughts about yourself so you can live a good life. That agenda is probably not workable. It's probably not possible. Maybe for some people, yeah, but we're kind of getting away from that. And I'll kind of get into it. So why do we get away from it? I'll give you a reason why. So, wait, no, I'm going to go over here. So I end up picking on the same people all the time. Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah, they're like anxiety, like anxiety's coming. So here's how we kind of think about this. Suppose I have a really good lie detector machine, really, really good. And it can detect the slightest negative thought or negative feeling. Got it?
Got it.
All right. I'm gonna put you in this machine and I'm gonna ask you, don't have a negative thought or negative feeling for 5 minutes. Okay? And to motivate you, I'm gonna have it attached to a gun. So you get the text, the slightest negative thought, and the slightest negative feeling, gun will shoot you.
Okay,
So, what's gonna happen?
you don't think I'll be alive.
I don't think I'll be alive. Exactly. So that's kind of a cool thing to think about. So what she just said, and you guys all laughed about it, I wouldn't be able to not have a negative thought. Think about that. With your life on the line for 5 minutes, you can't control what you're doing. So when someone comes to me, help me have self-esteem, Dr. Brown, dude, if you can't do it for 5 minutes, with a gun pointed at you, how in heaven's name am I going to teach you to control your thoughts and feelings on command for the rest of your life so you never do? Not gonna happen. It's just not workable. So we're the newer therapies kind of connected to Buddhism and Eastern philosophies are like, that's not an agenda that we can pursue. And the difficulty is in the Western world, it's being sold to you every day that it's necessary. Which is have confidence, have self-esteem, have self-efficacy. If you're confident, then you're able to act confident. Like you can't put confidence in the driver's seat of your life because you can't control whether or not you feel confident. You can't control feelings. So don't put unreliable things in the driver's seat. You have to do something else. So what else? I can go back to you. How about 5 minutes? You don't speak a negative thought. No problem. You can't really focus on modification of thoughts and feelings because they're not easily controlled, but we can modify our behavior pretty easily. And we can control our actions while simultaneously having thoughts and feelings that are incompatible with our bad feelings. And I will, we're gonna get to like 3 slides. I will show how that works. This is a therapy technique for you. So let's say to demonstrate that, it's like, can you do things with behavior independent from thoughts and feelings? And so I'm not gonna pick on new people. How about you? Do you have any like issues?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you wanted to share one in front of a bunch of strangers, it would be vulnerable.
I'm self-critical too, so,
What's that?
like criticizing myself often.
You criticize yourself.
Yeah.
So what's like wrong with you?
It's not majorly wrong, but like, I want all the time to like learn more and like be successful more. So that's it.
I want to be successful more, do more, so you're a failure,
No, not really,
Failure.
but like, not a real failure.
not
but
good enough,
I get bored easily, so like,
bored
wanna-
easily.
yeah.
Bored easily, not good enough. Okay, so we'll just kind of, I'll just show you some therapy techniques. I'm having fun now.
Yeah.
All right, come on up. So what we'll do with people is like, is it possible for a person to act in a certain way, independent from what their thoughts and feelings are telling them, right? That's a question. So I'm gonna be your mind,
Okay.
and you be you. And I'd like for you to just sort of maybe, you know, walk across the room and have a conversation with someone. Okay? Where you're going, like you're taking too long. What's wrong with you? You know, somebody always looking at you like they think you're a hero, like, why are you doing this? I'm just a one person. Oh, like, what are you, like, looking at you like the usual and saying. Very awkward. Are you watching? So. That's a therapy technique we use in the beginning of therapy with acceptance and commitment therapy to demonstrate to people like, this is what it's like. And I say, oh my God, it's like my mind. That's what's going on. So, yeah. So that's going to happen. Your mind is going to do that. That's going to happen. And what you've been doing a lot of times is fighting those thoughts, fighting those feelings, saying to yourself, I need to control these thoughts and feelings in order to have a conversation. The reality is you can learn to engage in actions, pursue things that you want to pursue while you're not going to. The alternative is think of your mind like an annoying backseat passenger, which is saying like, don't do this, don't do that. You've all learned how to drive a car with an annoying passenger. Well, that's what your life is about. In a way, humans pick up passengers. We're going through life, and in 3rd grade, some kid calls you fat and ugly. For whatever reason, it's a sticky thought for the rest of your life. You're like, I'm not fat and ugly. You pick up the passenger and it doesn't get off the bus. Then later on, I don't know, your boss tells you you're like boring or something. You pick up the passenger boring and it doesn't get off the bus. Every human being does this and then kind of goes, your idea, that's why we suffer. Part of the reason why we suffer. We're picking up passengers, some of them we don't like, and they don't shut up. So if you pull over the bus and start arguing with the passenger, you go nowhere. What we have to learn now is to drive a bus, move forward in life with passengers, fully present, fully there, welcoming them, allowing them to be on the bus while you're going. So therapy, from these newer perspectives, is we're not going to talk about how you need to control your thoughts and feelings. We're going to talk about how you can have a conversation knowing that you'll have a passenger back saying you're doing that job. Accept that passenger, recognize that it's there, allow it to be there. Don't spend time and energy fighting with it, just allow it to be present. Okay, I'll give you one more example of this. I'm kind of skipping ahead a lot. Well, you're right here and you have notes, so this is good. So let's just pretend that you're. I'll just give you the techniques. No, let's see here. I'll use a napkin. So let's say what would be something like, so you're not good enough. We'll just make one up, like you're awkward.
No, I struggle. Maybe communication.
Communication, interesting. So what's the matter?
Hard for me to find like common.
So hard for you to connect.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of putting, so I don't connect well.
Yeah.
I don't connect well. So what we'll kind of do is, again, and I'll explain all this in a minute. Don't connect well, right? So say, okay, so we're gonna try something. What's your name?
Sayora?
Okay. Oh, okay, Sayora. So this is, I don't connect well. Put it your hand against it. Okay, and I want you to make a friend with her. And I'll be your mind. Go ahead and conversation with her. You gotta go over there.
Hi.
You have to go over there. Yeah, you can't, you don't connect well. You don't connect well. I mean, try to make a friend. You have to go over there.
You don't love me.
Right. So we'll say, okay, interesting. So here, take this, put it in your pocket. Take your time.
Yeah. Hi.
Very nice. Okay, very good. So, what we're doing there is we kind of, all these are, you know, this is demonstrated here. When we're doing therapy, like, which one's easier? The second one. In both cases, she has, I don't connect well, fully present, fully involved, fully with her. The problem isn't that she has the thought, I don't connect well. That's not the problem. The problem is when she's fighting with the thought, fight becomes difficult. When she's engaged with the thought, when she's interacting with the thought, when she's listening to the thought, when she's fighting the thought, struggle with the thought creates problems. The thought itself does not create problems. She's has it in her pocket. And then we'll ask people in therapy, carry it with you for the next few weeks, make sure every morning you put, I'm not good enough, I'm bad, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm an imposter, or whatever. Put it in your pocket and carry it with you. I'm inadequate. Just let it be there. It's gonna be there with and without permission. So you might as well acknowledge that it's gonna be there and learn how to move your life forward in the presence of things you won't like. So those are some techniques for you. So lie detector is sort of the idea there, and the idea is that we have struggles. Every human has struggles, and it's built into the human experience. And kind of going back to what you said, suffering, struggle is normal for humans. It's not an unusual circumstance. It's actually based. Humans are really good at something. We're really good at creating misery for ourselves. It's just what we do. We're good at it. It's kind of, yeah, I mean, I think there's an acceptance of suffering in most people. Religions, I think, are a little bit better than that. So it seems to be built in, and there's reasons for it. The reasons are, well, I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going gonna skip over the 3 ways of behavior therapy because like we'll never do it, so. But the idea, you're probably like, whoa. I'm gonna just go straight to that. All those slides, I'm gonna explain in a minute with this. So. In the West, therapy went through 3 phases. There used to be Freudian stuff, and Freudian stuff was like whether or not you have an id and ego and superego. Won't get into that. It was the dominant mode for like 50 years, and it's not effective. It's not an effective therapy. There's very little data that shows so. It's kind of a bummer that people went through therapy for 50 years and wasn't effective, but they didn't learn. Then around the 60s, behavior therapy came along, and that was classical and outward conditioning. It uses a number of techniques that didn't rely on asking you about your past, but if you're afraid of snakes, for example, or spiders, you do exposure therapy. You like learn to interact with a spider, you look at a spider, you play with the spider, and then eventually you'll have less fear. That's called exposure therapy. We do that. That's the #1 treatment for all anxiety. OCD, PTSD, started in 1960, very effective. So exposure therapy is the go-to treatment for modification of anxiety, for depression, for everything. That's wave 1. Wave 2 came along, which was basically, I think we need to deal with cognition too. So the idea was, it's not just learning how to control your fear of spiders, but maybe we need to teach people to think right. So the classic example of that, I guess if we go back a bit, back for depression is the #1. Back says when people are depressed, they say, I'm broken, I'm no good, I'm hopeless, I'm helpless. They have thoughts that are characteristic of depression. And in the 80s and 90s, that we really need to teach people to think right. And we need to get them to replace their bad thoughts with good thoughts. So if they say, I feel inadequate, the therapist would say, like, don't think inadequate, think adequate. Every time you think I'm inadequate, say to yourself, I'm adequate. Right? And you already know now that 3rd wave people say that's not effective. Yeah, that is the trend, to learn how to identify negative thoughts and replace them with good thoughts. And it turns out that that's not an effective strategy. It just turns out that we're not good at changing our thoughts. But that happened, and that's the dominant mode of psychotherapy right now. So what happened with wave 3 is learning from Eastern perspectives and learning from the inadequacy or the loss of cognitive behavior therapy. There was a revolution that began probably in the 2000s, 2005-ish. Definitely taking off more now, which is acceptance and mindfulness-based therapies. And the acceptance and mindfulness-based therapies are based on functional detection, meaning nothing in your mind, no thought that you have is either good or bad, right or wrong, sick or unsick, healthy or unhealthy. They just are. Nothing is inherently good, nothing is inherently bad. A thought is a thought. How you react to the thought, how you interact with the thought determines whether it's helpful in your life or unhelpful. But we don't label things as inherently bad or good. We don't diagnose very much. We don't say people are sick. And I'll give you some examples why. We use functional contextual. The idea is every thought, every behavior has meaning and purpose. And we can't tell what that meaning or purpose is until we look at the context. So hang with me for a minute. It's only going to be 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So is this a good cake or a bad cake? Functional contextualism would say you can't tell. You don't know. If this is a bake that's being entered in a French Michelin 4-star bake-off, not so good. If this is a cake made by your daughter, 80 years old on Valentine's Day, as a surprise, that's the best damn cake in the world. So you can't judge the goodness or badness, the rightness or wrongness of this cake until you know the situation or the context about it. Which one's bigger? Nickel or the dime? Depends again, right? If you're talking size, nickel. If you're talking value, dime. But you cannot tell whether you can't tell which one's bigger until you know what the context is. One more. There's a cake. The cake made up of parts? No, we can cut it into parts, but that doesn't mean a cake is made of parts. And psychological experiences are like that, they just are. You can break them up into this happened, that happened, this happened, they're just a thought. Functional contextualism is the idea behind Eastern mindfulness. Maybe a little bit more. Thoughts of suicide and lottery thoughts, same function. So what's going on there? So what's going on with the lottery thought? You guys have all had them probably. I have had them. You're driving along and say, "Ooh, man, I should get $1 billion on a Powerball or whatever." That's like, and then you might have a moment where you imagine, what would I do with $1 billion, with $500 million? Why pay out, and then I would get like a house, and you could just have a little vacation from your misery, whatever is stressing you out. You have a little vacation, and you imagine a life free from suffering, and it feels good. And that's why we like lottery. You may even buy a ticket, and when you buy the ticket, that's your little way of like having a little vacation from your misery. Like, oh, maybe I'll win. Right? So in those moments of thinking about the lottery, you move away from misery and you imagine a life free from suffering. When people are really depressed, when life is in the shitter and things are going bad, financially, marriage, whatever, that's major misery, right? Bad. And the person says, I could kill myself. And in that moment, free from suffering. It's a moment of imagining themselves away from suffering. The function of a suicide thought and a lottery thought from a functional contextual perspective is the same. They're providing a person with a momentary imagination of being free from suffering. So we don't call them automatically bad or good. We don't want people obviously to hurt themselves, but we try to understand what is the purpose of that thought. We don't want to label it automatically bad. We're saying, oh, I see why that would happen. If you think your life is totally down in the dumps, having a moment where you imagine yourself in heaven or free from life, it's going to happen. And then we try to understand how we can help the person in that case, which is reduce the suffering in your life, so that idea isn't so powerful. But we don't say that that's a bad thought, you shouldn't have it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I am bad. I am bad as a patient. And again, when I tell you about patients, it's usually I will be modifying things so you don't know what they are, obviously. And they're going to be for people from not around here, speaking that there was a case that it could possibly be you. But I met with this was a person who is a 30-year-old woman. And if you met this person, you say, what a lovely human being. What a lovely human being. And I said, so where do you come in for therapy? And we kind of talked a little bit, she was crying. Like, I don't know, I'm bad. I'm just bad. And maybe Catholic guilt, I'm bad. I'm like, tell me more about that. What do you mean by bad? I'm like everything. I'm just a bad person, just bad. Okay. And she's really connected with this thought. She feels it to be literally true. And she goes, because I'm bad, everything I do is not going to work out. It's just going to end up ruining things. I'm going to hurt other people. I'm going to hurt nothing's going to work out. Therefore, I shouldn't really try a lot of things. I shouldn't try to be in a relationship. I should try not to advance myself in my job. I shouldn't try things because they're going to fail. So if I'm bad and everything I fail at, I should really not try things. And bad people should be punished. Bad people should be punished. Therefore, I should not allow myself to be happy. Because to allow myself to be happy would be rewarding badness. And in fact, I really have thoughts of suicide a lot. Because the right thing to do to a bad person would be to end their life. Right? So you listen to this. Remember, CBT, the old style would be like, that's an unhelpful way of thinking about your life. That's sickness, that's depression, that's bad. For you to think this way. But that, and Easter group like, what's going on? So we kind of so to me, this starts to sound like she's in court, right? She's in court, and she was seeing a CBT therapist for years. Not medicinal therapist. But like I try to convince myself that I'm not bad. I try to tell myself, look, I give money to charity. But then right away, your mind will say, yeah, but you did it to make yourself feel good. But I help my mom with dishes, like, yeah, but you did it, that's what she acknowledge you. So nothing ever seemed to stick, right? All her counter arguments were being like rebutted. And so to me, it's something like she's in trial. The prosecutor says, you're bad, and introduces all this evidence that she's bad. Then her defense team, which is her mind, tries to rebut, but never convict. This always seems to get overruled. The judge is her mind, the jury is her mind, the arresting officer is her mind, and the sentence is doubt. Her mind has created a courtroom where the jury has decided that she has to be. Wow, right? So when we're thinking about this from a mindfulness perspective, say, well, wait a minute. What you've been doing is you're trying to have one part of your mind fight another part of your mind. You're having the defense team fight the prosecutor, but they're both mind. And the judge is your mind, and the jury is your mind, and the arresting officer is your mind. It's all made up. It's all your mind. Right? It's all in your head. There is no real. It's all made up. So what's the solution for her under these conditions? She has to walk out of court. She has to just leave court. Stop. Walk out of court. You don't have to be there. And so I can't walk out. Yes, you can. And so we do that with her, like you're bad, 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 you're bad. I said, yes, you can. You can do things in the presence of I am bad that you haven't given yourself a chance to do. You don't need to get rid of thoughts to live a good life. You can live a good life in the presence of this bad. So we move away from fixing negative thoughts to what do you want your life to stand for? What have you been missing out on since you've been fighting bad for the last 2 years? And then she says, I don't even know. I've been so busy trying to get myself healthy that I don't have any goals. And yeah, well, let's think about that. So if you can have a dream for what you want to do, what you want to do. It's like, I'd like to be an adventure. I'd like to be great. So that became the focus of their education. We're not going to talk about getting rid of symptoms. From this day forward, we're going to help you become a creative, adventuresome leader. And we're never going to mention that. We know bad's going to show up. We know bad's going to be there. We need to deal with that. What we do need to do is help you create an adventuresome leader in the presence of bad. And that's what Eastern-based therapy is. So let's try to give you a feel for these things. So functional potential is what we're going to be looking for in therapy, is this idea of recognizing that thoughts have a function, and we need to learn about the function of the thought in order to modify behavior in order to help people live more happy. I'm gonna go. So I'll give you a couple more role plays. So the reason why we don't get into asking people, why or how to fix it is because humans are really good at storytelling, and they make up stories all the time in therapy that are not very helpful. So pick a word, just give me a word, any word, a noun. Blue. 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 Okay, give me another word.
Hockey player.
Hockey player, okay. Why is blue better than a hockey player? Okay, give me a word. Give me another word.
Oh,
Tall. Why is mitochondria better than tall? You just gotta give me a right to be better.
That's who I am.
Okay, that's what, yeah, and why is tall better than mitochondria? Okay, so what's cool about that is what we know about humans is we're really good at telling stories. And so it's so easy for you guys to say, this is better than that, this is better than that, right? And so we know in psychology, when I ask, like, why are you the way they are? That's like, why is tall better than hypochondria? That's why is blue better than hockey player? They're gonna give me a story. And whether or not that story is a true story or a false story, I have no idea. But I know they can give me a story. So we really get away from storytelling. They're like, we don't really need to know about storytelling. Everybody's gonna come up with a reason for everything. So what we do get into is like, how are you living your life right now? How can your life be better? So, just a little dot. So when we're doing that, I'll do 3 more minutes and we'll wrap up. The idea is that
The human mind has evolved to think in such a way that
so we could do it. No. So what that slide tells us is that what humans do is we're good at suffering from an evolutionary perspective for a couple of reasons. And here's what happened to us. Okay. About 150,000 years ago, there were like 6 different species of humans, maybe 200,000 years ago. And there were a lot of animals on the planet. And somewhere in a space of about 5,000 years, Homo sapiens were the only ones left. Something happened, big time. And evolutionary terms, that's a blink of an eye. We wiped out all the other hominoid species. How did we do that? We also killed half the animals. How did we do that? Something happened about 150,000 years ago that differentiates us from the other species. We acquired language. Language is awesome. Very, very handy. What language does is it allows us to think about things symbolically. So I can imagine building a bridge. I can imagine doing something, and I don't have to actually do anything. In my mind, I can imagine doing something and then carry that action out. And that's very efficient. When humans acquired language, they developed the ability to symbolically reason. And that put them at a huge advantage against all the other animals and all the other hominins. You can imagine if you guys are all Neanderthal, no language, you guys are all Homo sapiens, you got language, you're gonna have a fight. You guys can plan. Like, okay, you guys make a distraction, you guys come up from the rear, and you guys come in the front. You guys are just reacting to everything. You're gonna kick ass, you're gonna win like instantly. You can begin to plan where the food is. Every spring we notice that imagine the advantages that you have with symbolic reasoning over another species. So that's what happened in humans. That's great. The acquisition of language was the beginning of our dominance on the planet. And the acquisition of language was the beginning of human suffering. Both came at the same time. The cost of language is suffering. The cost of language is mental health problems. Think about it like this. Because of our evolutionary history is we were a prey species. We don't have claws, we don't have fangs, we don't have shells. We survive by being scared and noticing danger and escaping and avoiding danger and sticking together in groups. That's how we survived for millions of years. When we then developed the idea of having an imaginary world, our imaginary world is filled with what? Danger and how I can be socially judged. We create an imaginary world that's filled with all the things that we're scared of. And so that's how we have suffering. Humans are really good at saying, oh my God, like if I do this, then this bad thing will happen. And if I do this, this bad thing will happen. If I do this, this bad thing will happen. And if I do this, they'll judge me this way. So you're very, very, very good at it. It's built into us. That's why we can't target that as a treatment, because you're just too good at it. We know that to be true, so the alternative is mindfulness. And acceptance and commitment therapy basically is that, which is be more like a dog. There's a human going for a walk, and there's a dog. Dogs are great. You give a dog a hamburger and it eats the hamburger, takes a nap. You give a human a hamburger, one bite is, that was really good. The next bite is, I'm getting fat, what's wrong with me? The hamburger turned from a good thing to a bad thing in a split second. The next bite is like, oh, it's pretty tasty. The next bite is like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I control us? We can turn anything into anything at any point with our minds. So with mindfulness and Eastern perspectives, we're like, we're really good at this. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And what we want to do is, this is the last thing, is we want to learn how, from the Eastern perspective, there's like acceptance of suffering. Suffering happens. We accept that. The cause of suffering is when we believe or we get caught up in our thinking and judging about the world rather than being in the world as it is. So I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, we're here together. So the last thing we'll do, if we have like 2-3 minutes, this will be your last thing to do, is I'm going to demonstrate this for you. What I want you to do is you and you turn your partner. You go with her and I guess you and me will have to. Okay. You're going to turn to the other person. I'm going to show the 2 things we're targeting here. We're going to do functional contextualism, and you're going to have an emotional experience. Now you can go now, over to you. I'm going to have you sit about that far away from each other, look directly at each other. with the other person, get close enough so that your knees are almost touching. Yeah. And what we're gonna do is, when I say, you have a timer on this? Oh, there's a clock, never mind. There's a clock. When I say go, I want you to look directly into the eyes of your partner. Without looking away, look directly into their eyes as best as you can. Without looking away. And all I'm gonna have you do, I'm gonna have you do this for 1 minute. We're gonna do it 1 minute, we're gonna do it another way in 1 minute, okay? And just look into their eyes and just, that's it. It's your only job. Look directly into their eyes. Try not to look away. Try not to laugh too much. Do funny things. And your knees can be almost touching, but just do it for 1 minute, okay? So, ready? There, ready, go. Okay, stop. I just want you to kind of reflect on that, like what you noticed happening in your mind, what you noticed experiencing, whatever you noticed, just kind of notice what that was like for you. And so what the demonstration there is that a lot of times this feels a little awkward. And your mind is trying to protect you from a connection with another person. So you start to, am I looking into it? Am I doing it right? You're starting to generate thoughts. Those are what we would call escape and avoidance behavior. You're using your mind to escape from something that's uncomfortable. And that's the only function of those thoughts, which is to avoid and escape connecting with another person because I feel scared. That's functional protection. What I want you to do next is, we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it in a slightly different, we're going to change the context from one of a stranger to someone who is maybe not so strange. Okay. And here's how we'll do that. The person that you're looking at was thinking the same things that you were thinking. They were wondering, how does she see me? How does she think about me? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? They were having the same exact feelings that you were. And they were afraid of you. They were afraid that maybe you were judging them or seeing them negative. I want you to think about that. The other thing I want you to think about is this person whose eyes you're looking into has had many days in life where they've suffered alone, where they felt lonely, where they felt unloved, where they felt there was no one there for them, where they felt sad. They've had their heart broken. When you're looking into their eyes, acknowledge their suffering, their heartbreak, with kindness in your eyes. Embrace them with your eyes. Let them see you care about their suffering. And it doesn't have to be all that. They've also had tremendous moments of joy where they felt really loved and happy. So what I'd like for you to do this time, when you're looking at this person, look into their eyes and embrace their sadness and accept and embrace their happiness. And with your own eyes, show your compassion for them with your eyes, but then also reveal your own vulnerabilities with your eyes. Allow yourself to be fully present and seen by this other person, okay? They've suffered, and they would love for you to see them. They would love for you to embrace their suffering. So let's go ahead and try number 2, okay? All right, so go and close. And it's gonna feel a little scary, but let yourself be seen. And let yourself be expressed. Go. And you can stop there.
Oh, no.
And you can- oh, yeah, go ahead. You can give your partner a hug. Yes. Teary-eyed. You guys are wonderful. That's a life-changing experience. And now we have this opportunity to connect. From knowledge, be present, and be connected with people in meaningful deep ways, and like not so much in our head, but more in the moment with another person. And there's so many opportunities to have that. And so this year, too, it's all about. It's a beautiful.
Happiness.
Yeah, there's a connection there that's really different from what we do. And so this comes from the Eastern perspective, you know, it's learn to let go of thinking, analyzing, and be present with the idea of suffering happens. And we need to be present with our suffering and honor it. And accept that it's there, and still have beautiful moments, still have a very functional life. We don't need to make it go away in order to live the life. And in fact, it may be the case that the suffering that we have is what brings us. When I ask you to look into each other's eyes and share your suffering, we feel close. The things that we hide may be the very things that make us look at you. And we've been taught the opposite, to show happiness and hide suffering. And maybe the opposite. Maybe the opposite. That's it for me. I've never.
I made an executive decision that we were gonna ride with you on this ride,
What's that?
as long as you wanted to take us. Thank you for this. I made the executive decision, that's a little present.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, you know,
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
and, I made the executive decision, we were gonna ride with you on this. So I was very happy, and I thank you for taking the time to do this. I was very happy. We had other speakers throughout the day, some of them had to leave already. But those that are here, I'd like to give you a thank you gift, Kelly, and Zach, and Jay, who all here, the three that are here. So the three of you, and the others will get a little present, and I thank you. This is wonderful, and my introduction, we've been at BHSU, we've been a little longer than me. We've been around for a long time. But this is our first time connecting.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, it's so cool.
And I say to myself,
Oh.
that doesn't mean. Okay,
Yeah.
right, so we're gonna get you involved with that. Sure. I wanted them to have more. So we are done now. We have some online sessions that will be every Thursday At 11 o'clock, there's some amazing people from around the world talking about collaboration. And so with 11 o'clock online, in the next 5 weeks, you can sign up for that. And other than that, we will do this again next year. And we will do it similarly. So thank you all for coming. Thank you. Thank you, Ted. We'll take a break and we will convene for the class in our room at 2 o'clock. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you, really good. You guys are great.
You know.
So we're just gonna get the other guys. They'll be coming over to my house. Okay, thank you.
Wait, and they're going to because, and they wanted, I asked the question. She was doing good and we can go back to that kind of stuff. And they were, and like,